The NBA is the most popular sports league in the world and the workplace of some of the most competitive athletes whose personalities often come with a lot of ego. There are those players who let their game speak for itself, but also, there are those who can talk the talk, but not walk the walk. With social media following every step of the NBA circuit, we have witnessed a lot of ridiculous statements from NBA players. Welcome to the Squad Dawkins channel. In this video, we will take a look at those NBA stars, past or present, that have gone one step too far and can be called delusional. Ja Morant is one of those players who never lacked confidence. Being undersized and skinny as he is, he needed all the confidence in the world to make it to the NBA. Being 6'2", receiving a single college scholarship and still making it to the NBA as the second overall pick, winning the Rookie of the Year award, and making the All-Star team is something that gives you credit to speak highly of yourself. But one time, it seemed like Ja went just too far. It is no wonder that Morant thinks that he is a big deal in the league. But in an interview, he said that if he played in Michael Jordan's era, the all-time great would have been no match for him.
I wish I played in his generation, though.
Yeah. You wish you would have played in his generation?
Yeah.
Why?
I heard he was like just how he, go about the game, just that mindset he had. I would have cooked him, too.
You would have cooked Michael Jordan?
Man, nobody got more confidence than 12.
Perhaps Ja thinks that cooking MJ is easy as pulling a gun on Instagram, but maybe players nowadays are not fully aware of who Michael Jordan was in his prime. MJ probably laughs at these comments made by a player that haven't won any hardware in the NBA yet. But that probably is not the case when he heard what his former Bulls teammate Scottie Pippen had to say about him. Jordan and Pippen are probably the best duo that ever played the game of basketball. They won 6 NBA championships with the Chicago Bulls in the 90s and are considered one of the best teams in league history. There is no doubt that MJ was the alpha on that team, and Pippen was in the supporting role. Truth to be said, Pippen did not get the credit he deserved even at the time, as MJ was the god of the league, and Pippen was not even among the 100 highest paid players in the NBA. The two had their things on and off the court, but always had nothing but respect for each other. That slightly changed after the Last Dance documentary, as Pippen was not particularly happy with everything Jordan said about him. Knowing that the GOAT topic of whether MJ or LeBron James is the best player ever is always hot, Pippen is somebody that has always asked that question since he is the one who has played next to MJ for almost his entire career. Before the documentary, Pippen always had MJ's back in that conversation.
Michael Jordan is the greatest player to ever put on shoes and play in our game. No doubt about it.
But things are starting to change. Recently, when Pippen was asked the same question, he avoided saying who the GOAT was, but used the opportunity to call MJ a horrible player.
I seen Michael Jordan play before I came to play with the Bulls. You guys seen him play. He's a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. He was all one-on-one. He's shooting bad shots. All of a sudden, we become a team and we start winning. Everybody forgot who he was.
Pippen referred to the time before he joined MJ on the Bulls, saying that Jordan was all into one-on-one and was shooting bad shots. By saying this, Pippen was more trying to give himself credit as being the player who made the Bulls a winning team. But most of the people around the league did not buy that at all. Yes, Pippen was a great player and somebody that was doing a lot in MJ's shadow. But the fact is that Pippen needed Jordan more than MJ needed Pip. Speaking of the Bulls and the Pistons, there was a guy who played for both of them. You probably guess his name. Dennis Rodman. He was doing the dirty work for both the Pistons and the Bulls in the 80s and 90s, and he was totally fine with that as long as he was allowed to do his thing. Rodman is by far the most controversial figure in NBA history, who went from almost committing suicide to dating Madonna, winning the NBA championship, and even visiting North Korea's leader. So speaking his mind off is nothing considering everything Rodman has done in his life. Rodman went that far as he called out Larry Bird and said that the 3-time MVP is the one who couldn't have played in the league today.
I think the kid from Denver is way better than him. Jokic. Oh my God. He's slow as hell. Okay, but that guy got a game. What I'm saying? I think he's better than Larry Bird. I mean, in this day and age, yeah. If Larry Bird played in this era, I think he'd be in Europe. So I'm just letting you know, man. Really? Like I said, don't just say he would be somewhere over there.
This wasn't the first time Rodman questioned Larry Bird's greatness. After the Boston Celtics eliminated the Detroit Pistons from the Eastern Conference Finals in 1987, Rodman made a racist comment when asked about Larry Bird. Rodman said Bird was not a god. And the only reason he was an MVP was because he was white.
Larry Bird was the god in the NBA. He's like the great white hope. And I said, if Larry Bird was a black guy, he'd just be a regular old basketball player.
Maybe we should trust Rodman, as he once was the basketball advisor to North Korea's leader. And at the end of the day, Rodman won 5 NBA championships. One of the players who has won more rings than him is Robert Horry, who has 7 of them with 3 different teams. Horry won the first 2 titles playing alongside Hakeem the Dream in the Houston Rockets, then won 3 straight with the Los Angeles Lakers, and won the last 2 as part of the San Antonio Spurs team led by Tim Duncan. Horry's contributions to the titles is unquestioned, but his comparison between Hakeem and Timmy definitely is.
We played San Antonio one time. Tim was killing me in the block, and Phil refused to double team Tim to get the ball in his hand. And Dream is 20 times better than Tim Duncan. I played with both. I know the work ethic of both. So I've seen it live, and you've seen what.
Wait, did you just take a shot at Tim Duncan's work ethic?
Listening to people compare 2 players is really funny, but the real deal is when they compare themselves to others. Probably the most delusional case of all is when Paul Pierce claimed that he was better than Dwayne Wade.
Who's the better NBA player?
That's easy. I can say that off the bat. That's me.
He's made All-NBA first team twice. Paul hasn't done it. He made All-NBA 8 times to your 4. Ooh. He's made All-Defensive team 3 times to your 0.
Ooh, 0. That's rough.
He's won 1 scoring title. You weren't able to win the scoring title.
That's too bad.
He has 3 rings. You have 1 ring.
Ooh, 3 is bigger than 1.
Pierce definitely deserves credit, as he was the one who brought back the NBA championship in Boston after more than 2 decades. But he thinks he could have won more if he had been in a situation like Wade was.
I was 24 years old.
Okay.
You give me Shaq. When I'm 24, 25, you give me LeBron and Bosh. I'll be sitting on 5 or 6 championships. Easy.
One of the players Pierce won that championship with in Boston was Kendrick Perkins. This dude was so quiet when he was playing that it is pretty strange to see him on TV now. When Perk began his career on ESPN, he immediately got himself under the spotlight, saying that Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors would never win another NBA championship.
I hate to say this right now, but to be honest with you, I don't see the Golden State Warriors bringing home another championship.
As if this bald statement was not funny enough, Perk showed 0 with his hand and looked through it. Fast forward a couple of months, the Warriors won the 2022 NBA championship, defeating no other but the Boston Celtics in the finals. When Indiana Pacers rookie Benedict Mathurin got drafted in 2022, he said that he didn't think anybody was better than him, and that even LeBron should show him that he was better.
This is pretty the way I wanted to say it before. I really had to clarify my comment. Everybody came at me. I won't say anybody's better than me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go out there and people will have to show me that they're better than me.
What players like these said probably just made LeBron smile, but critics of him are coming even from the all-time greats such as Julius Erving. Recently, Dr. J was asked about his all-time top 10 players, and the former MVP left LeBron and Steph Curry out of that list and definitely won a spot on ours.
We got 5 guys who are untouchable.
Who are they?
Bill Russell.
Okay.
Wilt Chamberlain. Oscar Robertson. Jerry West. And Elgin Bell. The next group of guys would be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Irvin Magic Johnson, probably Karl Malone, even a tiny Archibald.
How and why Dr. J left LeBron off his list is not clear, but he definitely needs to see a colleague of his. Karl Anthony Towns has spent his entire 8-year career with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He has emerged as one of the best centers in the NBA, but he's still not in the same category as Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. Still, the 3-time All-Star believes that some people will say he changed the game after he retires.
I'm gonna put it like this. I feel like when my time's up and I retire and I put the shoes up and I say, you know what, Pat? Me, the kids and the wife, we gonna head out to the sunset and enjoy life. I feel like there's gonna be people who are gonna say, that I changed the game. And I'm gonna be very appreciative of that.
That's gangster.
Everything's up for stipulation. And you know what I like to say is that no matter when this is all over, that there's going to be kids coming up saying that they're going to be able to play a different way because I played in NBA and did it a different way.
Considering players like Jokic and Embiid have consistently been in the MVP conversation over the last several seasons, it's hard to imagine Towns being considered among the players to have changed the game. Towns, though, wasn't done after his first proclamation. He also told Beverly that the Timberwolves' 2022 playoff run, in which they won a play-in tournament game and then lost in the first round to the Memphis Grizzlies, was more special than the Denver Nuggets championship this season because they had less time to gel together as a team.
It was more special what we did in Minnesota because we had like a month, and then we had training camp, and it was like, you better figure it all out right now. And we really figured it out quick. Think about it. They had what? Jokic been in the league
4 years.
If you think about it, 4 years, we got it done in 4 months.
Right.
Towns is clearly delusional, but when you hear how impressed Towns was by this accomplishment, it makes more sense why Beverly was so excited to win that play-in game against the Clippers. NBA sharpshooter Damian Lillard has been described as the perfect fit for the Miami Heat, who have long searched for an elite-level floor general. As luck would have it, the Heat are currently the only name on Dame's preferred destinations list, and it seems like only a matter of time before they finally land the future Hall of Fame guard. But once they officially land Lillard, how high will their ceiling be? If you ask Celtics legend Paul Pierce, it's the first round.
You put them together, they won't make it out the first round. You gotta understand how they got to the championship this year. A lot of this had to do with their depth. And guys playing way above their pay grade. This team won't make it out the first round with them three with no depth.
That's a scorching hot take from Pierce, but he is a notorious Heat hater, so it makes sense why he'd have that chance. Throwing bias aside, however, he does make some good points. In any trade for Lillard, the Heat are going to have to sacrifice depth, and they've already lost several key role players from their run to the finals in June. But a team with Jimmy Butler, Bam, and Dame would definitely be good enough to win at least one series in any playoffs. Paul Pierce is well known for his hot takes, and the former Boston Celtic doesn't seem to be changing his style in the near future. Pierce has gotten used to surprise and upset people with his stance on NBA-related topics, as he started making bold statements as soon as he was hired by ESPN back in 2017 after finishing a very good career. The Truth wanted to make an instant impact, and he did so in a great way. During one of his first appearances with the giant multimedia company, Pierce claimed he would have taken Andre Drummond over Anthony Davis in the 2012 NBA draft.
So you watched Andre Drummond at UConn,
Who went ninth.
and Anthony Davis at Kentucky,
Who went first and won the championship.
and you would have took Andre Drummond over Anthony Davis.
Yes, I would have.
AD was seen as one of the biggest promises in basketball during that year and was the #1 overall pick in that draft. Drummond was selected by the Detroit Pistons with the 9th overall pick. Their careers have been completely different. Drummond has been a solid player but not nearly good or successful as Davis. JJ Redick knows basketball. He's played it at a high level for years, including 15 seasons in the NBA. He seemingly just has no clue about basketball in the 1980s. Redick made his money in basketball with the long ball. He did very little of anything else. He knows a little about three-point shooting, and he decided to explain to the First Take cast why the great Larry Bird can't be considered one of the best in that department.
And there's no way you could ever argue Larry Bird is a top 3 three-point shooter of all time. You can't make that argument.
You're basing it on math. You're basing it on math and a time when he played. I'm basing it on just shooting.
I'm not saying Larry Bird is not one of the greatest shooters ever. He's not one of the greatest three-point shooters ever.
Bird doesn't have the three-point numbers because that wasn't part of his game. It wasn't part of the NBA game back then. During the 1985-86 season, Bird led the league with 82 made three-pointers. He hit 82 of 194 shots from behind the arc, a 42.3% clip. In the 80s, there were post-up centers with most teams looking to get the ball inside. Today, the game is a barrage of three-pointers. Where Redick really lost knowledge points was saying Curry gets beat up more than Bird ever did.
Let's say Steph Curry, for example.
Right.
When I watch Steph Curry off the ball in a playoff game,
Oh, he's great.
getting grabbed and held by Marcus Smart, they're attached to him at all times.
Right.
Then when I watch Larry Bird come off a pin down and no one's within 5 feet of him and they're shooting the gap, you're telling me one is more physical than the other? You're telling me that's more physical than Steph Curry being grabbed and held for 48 minutes?
To think today's NBA is more physical than the 1980s is flat out ludicrous, and Redick should be called out for the foolish comments. Tell us in the comments, what is the most delusional basketball take you've heard? And if you enjoy this video, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. For even more basketball content, subscribe to our other channels, Free Dawkins and Vintage Dawkins, and follow us on social media.